when they plant those areas, we have little spaces in between, the corn and the wheat, where there's tall grasses and all. And then we had a quail point there. It was a flat land, and we were lucky enough to make a good slip. It was a long slip. It was like probably, I don't know, like 400 meters. And the hawk caught a male bobwhite under some cacti, so it was interesting to get him out. And but luckily my friend Gerardo, who is much smaller than I am, he crawled in and grabbed my hawk, and it was all fun.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Falconry Told podcast, and what is now the conclusion of our second series featuring falconers from Mexico. I'm so happy that I got a chance to go back down and do another series, and I know there's still so many falconers that are in Mexico that are doing great things that I haven't got a chance to talk to and share their stories, but hopefully there will be more opportunities in the future. But the concluding episodes for these series are always bittersweet, and it's always nice to kind of revisit for the last time the memories and the different experiences that I got to see and then in turn share with you all. So once again, I'm very happy and also very thankful to the North American Falconers Association and the Falconry Fund for their small grants program. As I mentioned many times before, without that small grants program and other programs like it, opportunities like this would be much harder to come by and be much harder to be able to do. So thank you all again so much for your continued support in that regard. If you want to find out more information, become a member, or donate to either organization, just head to n-a-f-a.com for the North American Falconers Association and falconryfund.org for the Falconry Fund. And this concluding episode of our second series featuring falconers from Mexico brings you all Eduardo Garcia, aka Lalo. You all heard him previously doing the translating for our episode featuring Leonardo Santana, and I'm very appreciative for that. Without him and Jerry doing the translating for a couple of these episodes, I feel like we would have missed out on a lot of cool stuff to share. So I'll always be appreciative of that, and like I said, I'm very appreciative to Eduardo and Jerry for all they did for me the week that I was down there. I had a great time, and I'm glad to have gotten a chance to share all these experiences with you all. And that being said, we will go ahead and turn things over to this conversation with Eduardo, and he'll share with you some of his experiences with various species as well as dogs, particularly vizslas, which you'll hear about here shortly. So all that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed this series, and here we go.
I'm officially on my last night here in Mexico for round two, or part two, I should say, for this Mexico series. And, well, Eduardo, you got lucky. You got lucky because I had enough time after checking out these amazing pyramids and stuff today. And, come to find out, we had some technical difficulties and whatnot. And overall, just weren't really happy with take one. So we're going to try this again on take two. And yeah, man, it's kind of a little bit of a bittersweet, at the end of any new little trip or excursion, it's always nice to return home and, get back to the norm, get back to the family and all that kind of stuff. But I'll miss you guys. It's been a fun week, and I'm glad that I got a chance to meet you all. And like I said, man, I'm stoked about how the week went. And yeah, man, I'll always be thankful for that.
I'm really glad, and I want you to know that we also have had a good time, and we loved having you here. And hopefully you'll come visit more often and enjoy this part of Mexico. That it's going to be always a second home for you. And yeah, thanks again for the opportunity. The second one for the second time. I mean, I wasn't sharp the other day, but yeah, thanks again for the invitation, and just be sure you have a friend here.
Yeah, man. No, it's great. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I'll always be thankful, and at least I got to experience, as you guys so aptly put it, the full Mexican experience. And got to see some interesting things this week.
here in central Mexico, I mean, Mexico's a big country, and you got to see some cool stuff that we have going on here, and especially that trip to the pyramids. I think it should have been pretty eye-opening, and showed you a little bit of what central Mexico and the whole Mesoamerican culture is. So good thing you got to experience that, and hope you had a good time.
Yeah, that was definitely the icing on the cake to the how do I put this? The Mexican police routine traffic stop. Is that the best way to probably put that?
Yeah. Good thing it only took like a couple minutes for you guys, and it wasn't that bad. But it's a highlight, or not a highlight, but something you'll take as a good memory now that you passed it and nothing really awful happened. But yeah, I mean, that's somehow how we are used to roll here, and police need more training.
Yeah, no, it is what it is, man. And like I said, it was fine. It's just it's kind of funny because you kind of doze off, and then you wake up, and the last thing you kind of expect to see is just like a bunch of police kind of surrounding the truck and having everybody get out and stuff. And I was just like, well, okay. That's how this is going to go. That's cool.
Good thing. Yeah, you all ended up being friends with them, and now we can call them. And if something happens, and surely everything will be all right from now on.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, between that and the Kiss Lounge and the other cool restaurant you took me to the other night.
It's all good times.
Yeah, fun times. But yeah, man, as far as I know, it's been kind of a rough week for you and your hawking in particular, and we've joked about it several times over the week and stuff. But I mean, one thing I'm always happy to do is meet other guys that are really so ate up with falconry that they feel like they need to or want to get out almost every day if they can. And I definitely put you in that category. You're pretty hardcore hawker when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I commend you for being that driven. And yeah, man, I mean, on average, how many, do you really try to get out like pretty much every single day if you can?
Well, at least to exercise them, yes. And do a couple long flights and get them ready for the probably. I mean, if we had a good hunt a day before, and we just need to do some adjustment in the weight, and we'll take time to do that. And in that particular day that we're like taking it easy and not hunting, but yeah, pretty much every day. And I think it's beneficial for especially for exhibitors, because they get to stretch their wings and move a little and like get their minds clear, because they need that. But yeah, pretty much every day. And only the days we definitely cannot go out, we'll just feed them, and that's about it. But that happens probably once or twice a month. So yeah, we try to get out as much as we can.
It's always nice meeting other people that, like I said, that are really good about that. And I it's not like it's horrible if you can't. I hawk with plenty of people that mainly can just get out on weekends and things like that and whatever. But they're very, very into it and very passionate about it. And they, are very, very gung ho about making sure that they maximize their time. And yeah, I think it goes without saying, and we can't say it enough, that if you don't have the time and you don't have the drive, then you just really shouldn't do it.
Well, thank you very much for the commendation, and I don't know, I'm flattered.
No, it's all good, man. But yeah, I mean, currently right now you're flying, Harris Hawks and goshawks, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, out of the two, do you still mainly prefer the Harris Hawks or?
Yeah, I enjoy both, but yeah, if you make me choose, I'll probably choose a Harris Hawk because I don't know. No, it depends on how you feel at that particular time. But I mean, I like all kinds of falconry, as I said before. But the ones I enjoy the most are the goshawks and Harris Hawks. I should try a red tail sometime because we have never done that before. But yeah, that's pretty much what I enjoy the most. But it's hard to choose just now. I mean, I'm having so much fun with the goshawks now, and it's difficult. It's a difficult choice.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of your journey kind of started off with Harris Hawks for the most part, right?
Yes. And we've been flying Harris Hawks for almost 16 years now, or something like that. 17, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as just how you got into it and everything, I guess just go ahead and talk about that some. And I mean, if you start off with Harris Hawks, just let us know basically how you got your first experience and just what got you into everything.
Yeah, the first talk I've ever saw, it was my friend Gerardo's. I think you interviewed him, and he's a really good friend, a long life friend, and yeah, I started going out with him for like probably 6 years, and finally I decided I should get one, but by that time we were just running dogs and learning how to like train them and just enjoy the field with my friends' hawks. And I used to take a lot of pictures. That's something I also enjoy very much, photograph. It's kind of like an amateur thing for me, but I really enjoyed it. So I would go out there and take pictures of my friend's hawks and his falconry and our dogs. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. But in 2008, I decided I wanted to try one for myself, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and up to that point, I think you had told me earlier that you had been kind of getting out and just observing and learning for several seasons before that, though, right?
Yeah, it was more or less like 6 years just going out and taking pictures and running dogs. So, but by the time I actually decided I should try to fly one myself, I think I was already prepared, because I've seen many seasons and many successful hunts and even other birds and stuff. So I wasn't an expert, but I think I had a hang of it pretty much.
Yeah, at least you had a good foundation, when you started.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm really thankful that I was patient, even though there were mistakes made by that time, and I still make them. And as we were saying, we should do a podcast of falconry mess ups. It will be a long list, but I mean, it's good learning.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, I think that there's a lot of people that don't think a lot beforehand. And that's, I think, the reason why, systems like the systems that we have in the U.S. and stuff work. I mean, no system's ever going to be perfect, but works as well as it does under the circumstances because it makes people have to think about it before they can just get right into it.
Yeah, I think that patience paid up, when I decided to fly a hawk, I was fairly successful. I had a lot of fun, and I knew what I wanted to hunt, and I knew places already and people, and I think that made things easier for me at that time.
Yeah. Well, and the earlier part of your life before that, I know you had known Gerardo and a lot of these guys, pretty much your whole life. But I mean, you've had, lots of stints growing up to where it would have made things difficult anyway. I mean, I know you had to kind of go away for school for a couple years and things like that too, right? And I mean, like, refresh my memory again about your early childhood, and you graduated in the U.S., right?
I graduated in the U.S. and Wisconsin, and I went to a military academy there. And when I got back home, that's when we were reunited, and Gerardo was already flying a Harshawk, and through my other friend Angel and his father, we started going out hunting, and that was my first outdoorsy kind of like hunting experience, with them. His father it's a well-known dog man and hunter, and he's like our mentor in that kind of area. And by that time, Gerardo was already hunting, so one thing make the other, and we ended up going out and starting seeing each other as much as we did when we were kids, and we were hanging out and flying his hawk, his Harshawk, and it was a lot of fun. That was in 2001.
I knew you had mentioned that you had to go away for school, and like I said, I mean, you had already kind of seen and been somewhat exposed to hunting and dogs and all that kind of stuff somewhat before all of that. But yeah, I mean, you having to go away for school for a little bit and things like that would have made it impossible to start that young anyway.
Yep.
So, yeah,
it was hard at that time, but and later in life, as we said, it was the adult part of my life that started like get in the way and work and some other studies I did later on in life. It's when we took a little pause, and I mean, as we were flying or experiencing falconry, but not as hardcore as we were before or now.
Yeah, so you got into it a little bit once you got back, and then I do remember you saying in a different conversation that you did have to like kind of take another pause for a little bit because you're finishing up a degree or something like that.
Yeah,
and everything
an
else,
MBA.
right?
I enrolled to.
Yeah, what was that for again?
My master's degree of business.
Okay, just business. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, not just business, but I didn't know if there's another specialty.
No, just a regular MBA.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, and as far as you briefly mentioned and kind of touched on the dogs and stuff too. I know we've had a few conversations about the dogs separately, and basically, I know you have several different breeds that you work with and you've tried to breed, but I know you're pretty into the vizslas for the most part also, right?
Yep. I've seen many dogs run, and probably most of the breeds that there are running in Mexico, and I enjoy them all. And I mean, I cannot talk anything bad or anything like that of any of the breeds, but the one that really makes me crazy is vizslas, for many reasons, because they make things so easy, and they're smooth dogs to run. So when you're flying hawks or falcons, I mean, you want that, you don't want to have any fights or anything with your dogs and like ruin stuff. I mean, it happens also with a not proper trained dog, but vizslas tend to take it easy and make things happen easily, smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, I like my two. I wish I would have had more birds the last handful of seasons or so that would have liked bigger dogs, or not been intimidated or just, hated bigger dogs or whatever. I feel bad for not running my one in particular very much. And but I mean, the good thing about them is that they're a versatile breed, and they're also good at home and everything else. And I'll always have a special place in my heart for that breed too, for sure.
I mean, it's hard to get over them.
Yeah, and you're pretty much trying to breed them and stuff now, right?
Yeah, we've been doing it. I don't want to say professionally, but I think I'm the only one that's registered here, and we try to do it the best way we can, and we've been pretty successful at it. And I mean, it's not that it's like rocket science or anything, but it's fun, and you just got to look into it and be careful with what you're breeding, and be sure that you do not mess up and have the right idea and actually pick good dogs for that, So I don't know. This is our like 17th year doing it, and we have an ongoing program, breeding program that's fairly successful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what originally made you really want to get into the breeding aspect, though?
Just to keep our blood pool alive, for our hobby, and after that, I mean, I wanted to share the breed in the country, because there's so few dogs, and I think they make really good pets, and a lot of people love them, and just to keep the thing alive, and it's not really a business or anything, but it's basically that the main reason, to have dogs available for the future when you get your dogs older and stuff. You really want to keep having options to keep the breed alive.
Yeah. And I know you had mentioned before that it was a little bit more of a personal project, just to kind of keep yourself like in a constant stock or whatever. But I mean, there's other breeds that you also try and
we have a wire-haired dachshunds, and I've tried what else for hunting. I've seen many, but I haven't kept any myself. But I've run my friends English pointers and just regular American pointers that they get here, and I enjoy them all. I've seen Brittany's and
but as far as the ones that you're actually trying to breed,
just the dachshunds and the vizslas. I own a Cane Corso now, but that's just our guardian dog.
Yeah. No, I really think that there's no way that I would probably ever get into doing that myself. I think it's probably a little bit I'm being in over my head, at least at this stage of my life. There's a part of me that's tempted to want to maybe try and either stud out our dachshunds at some point or something like that. I don't know, but the whole process to me just seems so stressful. And I mean, do you get worked up a lot when it comes time to deliver pups and everything? And
yeah, it is stressing, especially when before they start eating, because it's a lot of work, and yeah, from that particular age, you get a lot of stress with the vaccinations and the whole dog and tails, and taking care of the mother, and like the whole aspect of it it's kind of stressful, but it's also really beautiful because I don't know, the worst part is the cleaning, but everything else is just nice. You get to carry little puppies, and it's always a lot of joy to have them and see them play, and just develop and start seeing them, like chase birds and stuff like that. It's very amusing. So it's somehow stressful, but it's very something that you get to enjoy, and it's really nice to see young pups start hunting and stuff like that.
Sure. And I know we've talked about this before too, but I wanted to get your, kind of your opinion, since you've been breeding dogs a while and also have had dogs for a while. And two questions, mainly just to get your opinion. When do you think is the best time to get a pup? What like how old, and I mean, how old do you think they should be if you're going to spay or neuter? I've heard this opinion from so many different people, and dog people opinions are almost just as bad, if not worse, than falconer opinions in a lot of ways.
They overlap each other. Yeah.
But I mean, I just want to get your take on it.
The best time to get a puppy, it's 8 weeks old, because that's the perfect time to housebreak them, and they're already fully socialized with their peers and like brothers and sisters and mother, and they're not all that energetic by then, so you get a chance to housebreak them perfectly. They're a sponge in learning. They'll catch everything up fairly quickly, and it's easier to deal with a puppy that is not that crazy, and energetic. So at that time, I think it's the best time to start their training. I mean, house training and just regular limits, like know and their name and like easy commands like that. And as far as the spaying part or neutering, my personal opinion is that if you can wait until they're fully grown, it's great for that, because dogs, benefit from the hormonal phases they go through, the teen part, and I believe that I believe it firmly that's beneficial for them, for their muscles and the whole body development. So mentally even, because they really do benefit for it. And if you do a proper training with them, marking and being super territorial shouldn't be an issue, because you've been doing your part, and that is training them and have them have limits.
Mm-hmm. Well, and do you think any of that differs at all from the different breeds, as far as the smaller breeds and stuff? Because I know for me, we got our one vizsla when she was 8 weeks, and there were still some issues, and granted, at that point in time, I was still learning how to be a dog owner and stuff too, and we did the socialization, and we also took her to obedience training and things like that, just to get her the extra socialization, everything else, this, that, and the other. But I will say that I've noticed a huge difference in like when we got our dachshunds, for example, they were around 13 weeks. And I was really surprised how big the difference was. And granted, the breeders that I got them from had already been working with them some, with the crate training and, the house training and things like that. So we were kind of lucky in that respect. But I noticed that it seemed like the overall social manners and stuff that they would pick up from mom and things like that, just the and siblings and whatnot, seemed to be a little bit more driven home, a little bit more in place, like having gotten them a little bit later. Mm-hmm. So do you think that there's a big difference with just the maybe smaller breeds, in particular, like breeds like dachshunds, benefiting more from staying with the mom a little bit longer or something? Or
I don't know if it's a breed thing or, yes, it is a breed thing. With especially terriers, they tend to be more crazy, mm-hmm. And gun dogs, some of them are super birdy and stuff, and continental breeds, the German short-haired pointer, the Dratar, and the vizslas, the Weimaraner, they're more relaxed. But I think there's a lot of particular ingredients in there that shape up different demeanors, Mm-hmm. Also, every individual is different. But I think they can benefit in the pack and having other dogs around and not being the center of attention. I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of dogs, and I've seen them respect older dogs, because they will teach as well. So yeah, it's beneficial. If you have other dogs in the house and you get a puppy and they put them in place and probably if they're not behaving well, that they'll correct that, and so it's beneficial, especially when you have well-rounded dogs in temperament, and they'll help a lot. And yes, that is a thing. But all breeds are different, but I don't think it's an age thing or anything. It's about how your household is turning up with different dogs, but I mean, it can vary. It can be very different in between, one dog or another. Even being brothers from the same litter, they don't all behave the same or
Sure.
act the same. So yeah, but you can benefit a lot from that exposure to other dogs, and especially their mother, which will correct the most.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm just curious to see what your thought was on it. And, no opinion is necessarily right or wrong in those regards. But, like I said, everybody has a different outlook on it. So,
Yes, but I don't think it's a size issue. It probably is an individual thing. There's some Dachshunds that should be more chill or crazy, or vizslas are just like that. Some are dominant and others are shy, and others are, in balance. So the thing you got to look at first is it's the parents, and then how they are mentally. That's a good indicator of how probably the puppies will come out. So that's something to look into.
yeah, and that's why it's always helpful to be able to see the parents.
Yes, that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I guess now would be a good time to go ahead and branch over then to, the hawking in particular. And, I know you wanted to spend a little bit more time, talking a little bit more in depth about, quail hawking in particular, since that seems to be what you do the most, and what, I don't know if it's technically what the most experience you have is or whatever, but, as far as it seems to be what you're, into the most. And, so, I mean, when about during that time, I mean, were you always quail hawking from day one when you started hawking, or?
Yes, that actually, the first thing we ever caught with that hawk, it was a Montezuma's quail. It was a youngster still. She was, I don't know, like it was like I don't know how to calculate their actual growth, but it was not a small chick, but it was a juvenile Mearns quail. I mean, and I was lucky enough because I in my mind I already knew I wanted to hawk for that, and I don't consider myself an expert, but I really enjoy it, as you say, and it is the thing I like the most, since you get to see the dogs work and the falcon, participate in the whole thing. So that's something that really makes me crazy and want to come back and back again. And yeah.
Well, and I know that you have different goals and stuff, with it, but I mean, as far as, just, how many species of quail did you say are in Mexico?
I think there's 12. I can name them all and we can count them. Well, not all of them, because there's a bunch of quail that are not hunting species. They're like singing quail or wood quail that they're really hard to see, and there's a couple others that they're not. You cannot have a hunting season, but the ones that we hunt, I mean, let's go from the south. We have the ocellated quail. That it's an equivalent of Montezuma's quail. We have a Yucatan bobwhite. We have many different species of bobwhites, and they're called subspecies. We have like 2 in Oaxaca that are different. One is like a masked bobwhite, and they call it Coyolco bobwhite. We have an endemic species that we were talking about the other day. It's the banded quail. That it's endemic to the west part of central Mexico. We have scaled quail. We have regular bobwhites. Well, the red bobwhite we have up here. We have what else? Douglas quail, the Yellingen quail. We have Gamble's valley quail in north, and mountain quail. Probably, and I'm forgetting. There's another kind of bobwhite that is supposed to be extinct in Sonora. It's the masked bobwhite as well, but that's the actual black-headed male that they get. It's that what used to be or is in some place in Sonora. Yeah, but I think I named 11 quail that had a hunting season, and we have chased almost all of them except for the ocellated, the elegant, and the Yucatan bobwhite.
Okay.
And the mountain quail that, I mean, I don't know any place they have it, but I know they're in Mexico, somewhere in the Baja.
Okay. Well, and as far as, just how you go about doing it, I mean, I know it goes without saying you always have a dog, but I mean, is there any particular type of different method or different way that you like to go about it as far as, that might be different than how we would do it in the States or other places would do it, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you said, you need a dog to find them. But in my experience, the running quail, the callipeplas, the gambles, scalies, and the valley quail, the California quail, I think it's easier to break them up, the coveys, and then find them individually. That is a way I've seen some of my friends do it, and so us have tried for that, and we've been more successful at it. Like breaking the covey and then have the dogs point at those birds that will get in place. I mean, set in place, and you can fly them again, and it's easier to have a point out of those already flown birds. Banded quail, I don't know. You can get a lot of advantage using tree logs or branches, and have the hawks up there, because they tend to live in really high grassed, brushed areas, and so you can benefit a lot of that or using a T-perch, because you get that particular advantage that you need for them to for the hawks to get a good start and actually have a good chase. With Merns, the challenge is it's the altitude, and then that you're hunting in probably open areas or wooden areas, but the challenge is it's the climb and the conditions you're hunting for them, because they're the ones that live at the highest altitude, and so there's little oxygen running there, as you have seen in this particular part of the country. Bobwhites, you need to find the right grasses for them. They tend to be or use that kind of places to hide and feed. But in all of them, you benefit a bunch from the dog work. Even if it's not the same for one species to another, having them, it's very, 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 very game changing. Because otherwise you can probably walk past them and they won't fly or anything. So the dog it's crucial for that particular thing.
Yeah, and I mean, for people like me that don't know much about it other than just what I've seen, from watching guys like you and stuff, I mean, there's a lot of guys, of course, in the U.S. that are very, avid, quail hawkers, and but like I said, I mean, it's good to know the differences in the terrain, the type of living environment and things like that, because I mean, there's a lot of us, like where I live, there's hardly, I mean, you'll stumble upon a bobwhite covey or something every so often, but they're not like en masse. There's not a lot of coveys and a lot of quail left where I live, for example, anymore. And so, I mean, the extra education of, learning, the different terrain, habitat and things for those different species, it's good to know.
Yeah, and we're fortunate enough to have some places that are what we call a transition area, where you can find different species in the same area, and then the only species I haven't seen together here in Mexico, in central Mexico, it's banded quail and scalies, but all of the others I've seen, in some particular areas that have this convergent habitat, and it's interesting to see that, because the dog work is different in those kind of places, and there's places you can find Mearns quail and banded quail, so it's a terrain that's I don't know, in some way, well, weird, because they're tropical birds with like mountain kind of quail, and it's interesting. And then bobwhites tend to be in hot places or dry places, and that happens also with Montezumas. It's weird because you don't always find them in the same places or the same habitats, but they're I don't know how to say this, many ways that you can encounter them, and it's interesting to have it and to experience that differences in between species and how they interact with each other. So it's nice.
Yeah, because I know the other day when we were out hawking, we stumbled upon bob whites while we were looking for the bandeds, and I can see how it would be kind of, I guess, it could be frustrating in some ways, kicking one kind up when you're really wanting to go for the other, but I'm sure that you're not going to complain if you...
No, not ever, but let's talk about that place. To get a bobwhite, it's way more difficult to get it than to get it in Querétaro or deserted areas, because they have much more coverage. So hunting bobwhites there, it's way harder than hunting them in places where they cannot have tall grasses to hide, and so it gets interesting, those particular hunts are, I don't know, more gratifying to say, but it's weird. And if you want to do a quail slam and then you only find bobwhites that you already caught before, and you were targeting for banded quail and you never saw any, it could be frustrating. But it's weird because where you're in that kind of places, it's easier to get banded quail to fly, and bobwhites are like a present, like something not that common to encounter. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and just as an extra little anecdotal, side tidbit, by getting a quail slam, don't you mean getting a quail slam bet? You want to share that little story?
That was me running my big mouth and being, overconfident with a hair's hook. Yeah, it wasn't a bet. It was more me being stupid and saying that I was gonna not kill, but catch with a hare's hook, a male hare's hook, all four of them in one season, and which I did in my first season, but I thought it was going to be that easy, and never happened, and I had to pay for a brand new Marshall's GPS system for a friend that, he was happy in my defeat.
Well, and just to clarify, though, wasn't it not the season, but in 1 month or something like that?
Nah, he was exaggerating. Yeah, but I was overconfident, and that was a big mouth shutter for me.
Yeah. No. Well, and like I said, I know I've seen enough of the quail hawking now to know that. I think it's cool. It's fun to watch and everything, but I don't think it would be for me just because of the super ultra long, slips and stuff. But it's not. It's just. I think it's cool. I like it, but it's not. I don't think I would do it for my personal falconry, but I admire you guys' tenacity especially in this part of Mexico. And I mean, when I was with Rodrigo last year and was watching him and
hunt for scalies.
Yeah, and Enrique, and then hunt for those quail out there. I mean, that you're right. Like the desert type terrain is one thing, with the occasional smaller kind of rolling hills and the bush here and there and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, what you guys have to hawk in here with just grass and cover basically for as far as the eye can see with the quail hawking and stuff. It's I admire you guys' tenacity for having to do it and wanting to do it, because it's tough. I mean, no quail is easy. No, I mean, not even deserted. No, they all are challenged, and they're. I mean, you have to respect how they are successful and thrive in some areas, But yeah, in this part, it's got its difficulties, as it should have it should happen in Monterrey or in the north of Mexico, and desert quail are super fun as well. I think the challenge there is to get the hawk used to those big coveys and choose wisely. Which one he should chase. But exposure will get them going, and experience. Yeah, and that goes for almost any kind of falconry. Falconry as well.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and is there any other last thing you want to share about quail hawking in particular, or?
Well, I mean, it's interesting, but not a lot of falconers tend to like it, because it's got its difficulties. But I mean, it's nothing that I can go. Well, it is something I can go for hours talking, but nothing in particular. I think we've covered it very well,
pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess then this will be a good time to go ahead and transition to the story time part now, and get that get those one or two memorable experiences that you've had, and the ones that really stick out in your mind as far as those the ones you just don't ever forget.
Well, I'm gonna say 4 slips. The 4 quail that we cut. They weren't 4, but the 4 different species that we got with that particular herdshock would be nice to cover, because I mean, we can describe a little of each hunt. The first one, it was in Puebla, Mexico. That we were hunting for Montezumas, and we were running our dogs in this hill where there were some eucalyptus trees. They were tall with branches and all, and those kind of areas are good for hawking, because those trees tend to be good enough for the light to come through, and it's good for Montezumas. Suddenly we had a dog point, and the covey rise, and we had a nice downhill slip, and we caught a female Montezuma in Puebla, Mexico. So that was memorable for me. We were with friends, and it was all happiness after that. Our bob point, we caught it in Querétaro, which is a state north of where we are now. It was in this place where there were some cornfields and some wheat fields. We get to when they plant those areas, we have little spaces in between, the corn and the wheat, where there's tall grasses and all. And then we had a quail point there. It was a flatland, and we were lucky enough to make a good slip. It was a long slip. It was like probably, I don't know, like 400 meters. And the hawk caught a male bobwhite under some cacti. So it was interesting to get him out. And but luckily, my friend Gerardo, which is who is much smaller than I am, he crawled in and grabbed my hawk, and it was all fun. And I got to do the happy dance because he didn't get any quail that day. So it was fun. We shared a rabbit that day, and we kept on going, and it was nice. We were kind of like competing and all, and it was all fun. The first scalia I ever hunted, it was in a place called San Miguel de Allende. It's another state in central Mexico. It's called Guanajuato. This place we were hunting. Well, this particular time we were hunting for jackrabbits, rabbits, and this covey. We encountered. They flew pretty fast, and this particular quail seek cover in this depression. That they were under some mesquite huizache thing with this very pointy plant that has a lot of like spines and stuff. Mm-hmm. And my friend Gerardo, Bernardo, who is Gerardo's brother, he's like, "Oh, you caught it! Your hawk caught it!" And he crawled in as well, and he was waiting there for us, and he was taking pictures and all, and I was like super happy because basically that was the first scale we saw with that hawk, so I got lucky. The last quail we got to hawk and to catch was the banded quail with that Tirso in his first season. It was in a place called Tonatico, Estado de Mexico, which is in the same state that we are now, but it's just to the south. More or less, the place was as the one we went on Tuesday, tall grasses and that kind of geography. And we were running the dogs in a place where there was a big old tree, probably was a eucalyptus tree as well, and the hawk perched on that tree, and then we flew a covey next to a big water body, and the hawk started the chase, and then he caught it a few meters off where we were standing, but we were with the grass up on our chests because it was still green, and really challenging, but it was really, really nice, and that was the way I was lucky enough to get that Central Mexico quail slam, and I was very happy and probably overconfident for later hawks, in life. But we're pretty close now with our female goshawk, and the only one that we haven't been able to catch is the banded quail that we tried, but apparently we will have to wait a little longer.
Well, fair enough. And yeah, like I said, it sounds like you've had a lot of really cool experiences doing it. And, I know you'd mentioned before that if you had to choose between the two, you'd probably still always go back to kind of like the old reliable, Harris hawk over the goshawk probably. But I know you've been really enjoying the goshawks lately.
Very much. If life turns harder, I'll go for Harris hawks. Yeah, that will be a turn. In my decision, it depends on the time I have to do it.
Mm-hmm. But right now you're enjoying the accipitrine, shooting off the glove and pursuit after.
Exactly.
More so than the Harris hawks, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, cool, man. Well, I guess we can go ahead and kind of wrap up then and get your final thoughts or words of wisdom that you may want to pass on to other people and things like that, and we'll go ahead and call it good on that probably.
Okay, don't run your mouth. Don't make stupid bets. And that's my first piece of advice. Just I think don't be impulsive overall, and don't jump into things without having good thought and being well prepared, and if be always committed and try to make the time for it. That's something that every falconer should have and know, especially the ones that are starting. They need to be patient, not impulsive, and committed with spare time to enjoy falconry.
Yeah, and it's been mentioned many, many times before, but it's another one of those things that I've said 100 times. You can't mention it enough. Don't have the time to do it properly. It's probably best that you either wait a little bit longer or, take a season off or whatever. It's not.
Don't do it at all.
Yeah, exactly. And, just wait until the right time again. And I think it's a good note to end this this trip on. And yeah, like I said, it's going to be a bummer having to miss out on seeing some of this stuff in person again for a while. Although I think my sinuses will like me more for it for at least a little while. But yeah, man, I already told Gerardo, I've already told Jerry that there's not. I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you've done for me this week. It's I wouldn't have been able to do this without other people in the community who are willing to just take in people and show people a good time and just give people a chance they don't even know or hadn't even met. And it's a gamble on all fronts because but I'm glad it's worked out and I'm very thankful for the friendships such as you guys that I've made in falconry. And I can't say enough about like I said, the Mexican hospitality and everything that I've experienced the last couple of times that I've been here. And like I said, thank you again so much.
Oh, thank you for having us and just putting up with our stuff here. And yeah, I mean, we really enjoyed it. And be sure you have friends here and a place to stay anytime you want to come down and enjoy.
Well, I'll always keep it in mind. And likewise, you need to come up and see some Southern Indiana dirt hawking sometime.
For sure.
Sometime in the near future.
Let me get a visa.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said, thanks again, and we'll hang out a little bit more before I have to take off in the morning.
Sure.
All right?
Yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.